Okay, I don't know about anybody else who's a caregiver, but when somebody would say, you need to practice self-care, I literally wanted to I'll be nice and say I just wanted to kick him in the shin. And because self-care for me, what I thought self-care was what it was when I was a career woman, when I was making $100,000 a year, which was like, going on vacation, going to the spa, reading a book by the pool, getting a mani-pedi, all of these things that now as a caregiver, I had no time for. I had no money for, and frankly, even if I could go relax, I could not relax internally, right? So I really had to redefine self-care, what self-care was, and frankly, my first act of self-care in 2017 when I went to the doctors, because everybody said you need to practice self-care, right? And I said, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. If you only knew, I don't have time, right? And many caregivers can relate to that, right? When 2017, when I went to my last doctor's appointment for my corporate job that I was leaving, the doctors told me like, hey, your body's literally shutting down. We think maybe 6 months you have to live, right? And I'll do another video about all that went into that. But yeah, I was in destitute, right? And so I had no choice but to learn about self-care super quick. So my first act of self-care was literally taking a blood pressure pill and texting a friend for 30 days that I had taken that. And I also, by this time, I had gained over 100 pounds in just, a few years, right? And my body was so heavy, not only with like the extra weight, but the grief and the stress and everything that was going on, that it was painful to move. So my next act of self-care was like, I had to just commit to whenever I walked down the hall, try to reach my arms up to the ceiling. I had to redefine what self-care was. When I'd go to the mailbox, I would just stand there for a minute and I would take a deep breath. I would try to, when I went to the hospital with my mom, I would bring a refillable water bottle. I would, when she was sleeping, walk around the nurse's station, these are like 5-second, 5-minute, 1-minute acts of self-care. And those things added up. And then what I found is I really did have time for self-care, because what I was doing all of those years in that time that I didn't have time for self-care was I was obsessing and obsessing and obsessing about how I don't have time for self-care. And when I started doing the self-care and replacing the obsession with the self-care, those 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes added up, and I found the time for self-care.